You know, the most dangerous narcissist at a holiday gathering, it's not the loud, grandiose braggart holding court at the head of the table.
Right. It's not the one demanding everyone's attention with some booming voice.
Exactly. No, the most dangerous one is the quiet, sulking martyr in the corner who is calculatedly, meticulously suffocating the joy out of the room. Welcome to the debate.
Today we are decoding the hidden, insidious world of covert or vulnerable narcissism.
Specifically how it manifests when the stakes are highest, right? During family celebrations and holidays. I will be arguing that covert narcissists are calculating predators. They consciously use passive aggression and pity as a tactical power play to extract exactly what they want.
And I will be arguing that analyzing the abuser's mechanics, well, it misses the real tragedy here, which is the profound neurological and emotional dismantling of the victim.
So, to understand the covert narcissist, you really have to stop looking at them as merely insecure and start looking at them as highly tactical. I mean, we spent so much time talking about grandiose narcissists, right?
Oh, totally. The stereotypical ones.
Right. But the covert iteration is far more dangerous because their camouflage is just so effective. A grandiose narcissist demands the spotlight through boasting. They tell you how much money they make or, how successful their kids are.
And the covert narcissist steals that exact same spotlight, but they do it through manufactured crises.
Yes, they play the ultimate victim. They use this shy, introverted, or even pseudo-depressed persona to disguise an insatiable entitlement. They are actually feeding on the failures and the discomfort of others.
Right, that extraction of narcissistic supply.
Exactly. They need you to feel off balance so they can feel superior. I mean, wait, look at how they use pity in a social setting. They sit apart from the group, sighing heavily, refusing to engage, forcing everyone to walk over and ask, "Are you okay?"
Yes. That's not depression, that's weaponized guilt. It is a highly effective, conscious camouflage for emotional predation. And frankly, if you don't profile the predator accurately, you can never disarm them.
Okay, but you're calling it camouflage, and treating this merely as a tactical disguise minimizes the biological reality of what is actually happening to the victim across the room.
How so?
Well, the abuser's masked grandiosity is only the surface layer. The actual core issue is the systemic nervous system dysregulation that the victim is subjected to. It is the fog, right? Fear, obligation, and guilt.
The fog, yeah. And I want to be really clear about what that fog actually is. It's like carbon monoxide in a house. You can't see the guilt being pumped into the room, but suddenly the victim can't breathe. And everyone else at the party is just wondering why they're gasping for air.
Right, because nobody else feels it.
Exactly. When that covert narcissist sits in the corner exuding that weaponized guilt, the victim experiences actual physical somatic tension. Their stomach drops, their jaw clenches, their bodies conducting a rapid, unconscious threat assessment just walking through the front door.
Just from them sitting there.
Yes. Size. This is exactly what trips victims up. They end up believing they are the abuser or that they are going crazy because their nervous system is so chronically dysregulated, they literally cannot think straight. If we only focus on the predator's playbook, we ignore the prey who is systematically losing their mind.
I hear that, but they are losing their mind because of a specific, executed methodology. Let's examine how the narcissist actively triggers that exact physiological response you're talking about, because it doesn't just happen in a vacuum.
True.
It happens through tactics like psychological dog whistling.
Oh, this is a fascinating concept.
Right? In politics, a dog whistle is a coded message. In covert narcissistic abuse, it is a phrase dropped at the dinner table that sounds entirely benign to the room, but is a targeted, devastating micro-insult to the victim.
And the source material gives two clinical examples of this: the fried eggs comment and the Malcolm question.
The culinary devaluation and the veil threat.
Exactly.
Let's break those down. Imagine a husband at a holiday dinner, surrounded by extended family, and he casually remarks to his wife, "It was so nice of you to make fried eggs for breakfast."
Which sounds so sweet to everyone else.
To the guests, he sounds like an appreciative, loving spouse, but the wife knows that fried eggs is his private, recurring, vicious insult for her being a terrible cook, as in she is so incompetent she can't even fry an egg.
Right, or the other example. A relative asks, "Who will care for Malcolm?" referring to the family dog.
Right, which sounds like a caring question about logistics.
Exactly. But the target knows it refers to a previous private threat that relative made to get rid of the dog if the target didn't comply with some demand.
This is a sniper using a silencer. The narcissist pulls the trigger in plain sight, only the target feels the bullet, and the narcissist secures total plausible deniability.
But the bullet isn't what kills the victim's spirit. It's the isolation of bleeding out in a crowded room where your own family members actively gaslight you for bleeding.
Okay, explain that mechanism.
Well, we need to unpack what happens in the brain when that dog whistle is blown. The target's nervous system instantly registers a severe threat. We are talking about immediate amygdala activation.
The brain's alarm system.
Right. The amygdala doesn't know the difference between a charging bear in the woods and a coded insult about a dog at Thanksgiving. It floods the body with cortisol and adrenaline. When that happens, the prefrontal cortex, the logic and reasoning center of the victim's brain, literally shuts down.
And that results in the outward behavioral reaction. The victim might burst into tears or snap or just yell across the table.
Yes. Which leads to what clinicians call reactive abuse. The victim, whose brain is in a full-blown biological survival mode, snaps. And what happens next?
They look crazy.
They look hysterical, unprovoked, and entirely unstable to everyone else in the room. Meanwhile, the covert narcissist sits back, plays the innocent saint, and says softly, "I just asked about the dog. Why are you screaming?"
It's brilliantly manipulative.
The true trauma isn't just the insult. The trauma is the fact that the victim's reality is completely inverted in public. The bystanders look at the victim and say, "You're being too sensitive." The victim's reality is dismantled, and they start to believe they are the toxic one.
See, I completely reject the idea that we shouldn't focus on the predator here. Because what you just described, the victim looking unstable while the narcissist looks like a saint, that is the explicit goal of the dog whistle.
You think it's that conscious?
Absolutely. The dismantling of the victim's reality is the result, sure, but the cause is a calculated power play. The covert narcissist knows exactly what they are doing. It is predatory. And we see this exact same conscious calculation in how they avoid accountability during these high-stress events.
You're talking about the plausible deniability.
Right. That plausible deniability doesn't just stop at verbal insults. It's how they get out of contributing anything at all. Look at weaponized incompetence.
Ah, yes. The shifting of the holiday labor.
It's more than a shift, it's sabotage. The holidays require immense executive function. You have cooking, cleaning, organizing, hosting. The covert narcissist will intentionally ruin a crucial task so poorly that they are permanently relieved of duty.
Like burning the holiday roast.
Or they will miraculously forget to pick up the one essential ingredient they were tasked with buying. And what does a family say? "Oh, he just doesn't know how to cook," or "she's just forgetful."
Right, making excuses for them.
No. It is not a lack of skill, and it is not a sad inadequacy. It is a sadistic power play to shift the physical and cognitive labor onto the victim, while the narcissist enjoys consequence-free leisure on the couch.
I'm not denying the labor shifts, but look at what happens inside the victim when the roast is burned or the ingredient is forgotten. It triggers a profound fawn response.
Fawning, like fight or flight?
Exactly. We talk about fight, flight, or freeze, but fawning is the fourth trauma response. It's an appeasement strategy. The victim realizes that if the holiday isn't perfect, the narcissist will inevitably throw a covert tantrum.
So they overcompensate.
Massively. They become the ultimate manager. They are booking the flights, ordering the groceries, cooking the entire meal, and most exhaustingly, monitoring the emotional temperature of every single person in the room.
Walking on eggshells.
Constantly. They are scanning for a shift in the narcissist mood, desperately trying to prevent an explosion. They are using their adult competence to execute a childhood survival strategy.
Wait, let's hold on that phrase for a second. Adult competence to execute a childhood survival strategy. You're saying the cooking, the cleaning, the perfect toasting, it's all just a trauma response dressed up as a Pinterest holiday?
Absolutely.
They are trying to manage an unmanageable reality. It's not just about who does the dishes. It's about a victim depleting their entire life force to appease an emotional black hole.
Wow.
All while harboring this vague, internalized shame that if they just tried harder, the narcissist would finally be happy. They burn out because their body is treating a dinner party like a hostage negotiation.
See, your framing suggests the victim is just collateral damage in the narcissist's dysfunction. But I argue that this hyper-functionality, this frantic fawning, is exactly the supply the narcissist is mining for.
You think they want the fawning?
They wanted to see you running around frantically because your exhaustion validates their sense of control. And the most chilling part? The fawning doesn't even work. The victim tries to appease them, but the narcissist punishes them anyway.
That is true. It never works.
Let's look at the active punishment phases during these celebrations. Specifically, the public silent treatment and abusive gift-giving.
Two tactics that absolutely peak during the holiday.
Because the holidays offer an audience. The public silent treatment is brilliantly cruel. Behind closed doors, the silent treatment is standard isolating abuse. But doing it at a holiday gathering?
It's theatrical.
Yes. The narcissist will actively ignore their primary target, refusing eye contact, physically walking out of rooms when the target enters, while simultaneously engaging warmly, charmingly, and gregariously with every other guest.
It isolates the target in plain sight.
Precisely. And then there is the gift-giving. A grandiose narcissist buys a flashy car to show off their wealth. A covert narcissist uses gifts to actively devalue.
Oh, I see this in practice all the time.
They will deliberately gift a sweater 2 sizes too small. Or they will give a book by an author the victim has explicitly stated they despise. This is a territorial assertion.
To ruin the memory.
Exactly. They are intentionally tainting the victim's memory of the event so that forevermore that holiday is associated with their destructive presence. They are playing a chess match, and they are forcing a checkmate of guilt.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that framing. I have to push back hard on this idea of a chess match.
Why? It's completely strategic.
Treating it like a strategic game minimizes the chronic stress and trauma bonds forming in the victim's brain. It's not a game of chess, it's a hostage situation.
A hostage situation?
Yes. When a victim receives a gift they explicitly hate, or when they are being iced out in a room full of laughing relatives, it induces absolute panic and forced compliance.
Okay, walk me through the mechanics of that panic then. Because if someone gives me a bad gift, I can just throw it in the trash or say, hey, this isn't my size. Where's the hostage situation?
Because you are approaching it with an intact prefrontal cortex in a normal relationship.
Fair point.
In a healthy dynamic, a bad gift is just a bad gift. In a narcissistic relationship, it is a calculated microaggression layered on top of years of psychological warfare. The panic comes from the cognitive dissonance the victim is forced into.
The two conflicting realities.
Exactly. Cognitive dissonance is what happens when the brain is forced to hold two contradictory realities at the exact same time. The victim is holding a sweater that they know was meant as a covert insult, but they are surrounded by family members who see a nicely wrapped, generous present.
So they can't react.
They are forced to split their reality. They have to smile. They have to say thank you to their abuser to keep the peace. They are covertly provoked to their absolute emotional limit. But they know if they name the unfairness, if they say out loud, I hate this author, they will be instantly labeled the crazy one.
The reactive abuse again.
Right. They will be shamed by the family as ungrateful. The trauma isn't the book. The trauma lies in that forced psychological performance.
I see the bind. The victim is trapped in a double bind. Accept the abuse silently and betray yourself, or speak up, be labeled the family scapegoat, and endure the collective wrath of the family system.
It's an impossible choice.
Which brings us to the crucial application of all this source material. How does one survive it? If you understand that you are sitting across from an apex emotional predator, what is the defense protocol?
Well, the clinical literature provides very distinct tactical maneuvers.
It does, and I advocate for strict tactical defense.
Though I have deep reservations about relying solely on behavioral tactics without addressing the underlying trauma that makes the victim susceptible in the first place.
But you need the tactical walls first, or you don't even survive the dinner. I champion the gray rock method.
Becoming uninteresting?
Right. If the narcissist thrives on emotional reactivity, whether that's your tears, your anger, or your frantic fawning, you deny them that feedback loop. You become as uninteresting and emotionally flat as a gray rock.
Right, so when they deliver the dog whistle, you don't snap.
Exactly. You respond with a neutral, non-committal, or okay. You do not justify, argue, defend, or explain. You starve the predator of their oxygen.
Gray rock is a great theory, but it is incredibly difficult to maintain when your amygdala is firing on all cylinders. You are asking someone whose brain thinks they are being chased by a bear to sit perfectly still and just say,
Which is why the source material also suggests narcissism bingo, which I think is a brilliant profiling tool.
Gamifying the abuse.
Yes, it gamifies the abuse to engage the logical brain. Before the gathering, you write down a mental list of the exact toxic behaviors you expect based on their past patterns. We'll criticize the turkey, we'll bring up my ex, we'll give the silent treatment to the kids.
Anticipating the strikes.
You set a hard threshold, say 5 toxic comments. Once they hit 5, you execute a clinical emotionless exit. You excuse yourself, go to your car, or leave the house entirely.
It forces a boundary.
Do you see the shift, though? It transforms the victim from a passive recipient of emotional abuse into an active, objective observer of pathology. It strips the abuser of their power because they are no longer a terrifying omnipresence. They are just a predictable subject in an experiment.
It's a useful behavioral tool to force the prefrontal cortex back online, I'll grant you that. It pulls the victim out of their emotional brain and gives them a task.
But
behavioral tactics fail if the internal reality isn't healed. You can wear a suit of armor and play narcissism bingo all night, but armor is heavy. If you go home and still feel that deep, internalized shame, if you still feel that carbon monoxide fog in your lungs, the narcissist has still won.
you're saying the tactics aren't enough.
You can't out-tactic a shattered sense of self. This is why I stress psychological preservation through the CALM protocol.
Catch, acknowledge, let go, move on.
Yes. And the most vital, agonizing step there is let go. Radical acceptance. The victim has to let go of the fantasy that if they just cook the perfect meal, buy the perfect gift, or say the perfect thing, they can fix the narcissist or finally have a normal, loving holiday.
Giving up hope, essentially.
Giving up the false hope. They have to grieve the family they wish they had and accept the reality of the pathology sitting right in front of them. The battleground isn't the dinner table. The ultimate battleground is the victim's sanity.
Interesting.
Survival means recognizing the invisible emotional toll, actively rejecting the label of reactive abuser that the family tries to put on them, and learning to trust their own perception again. You have to heal the nervous system at a somatic level, not just outmaneuver the abuser with parlor tricks.
I wouldn't call them parlor tricks, I'd call them tourniquets. Outmaneuvering them is exactly what creates the physical and emotional space for the nervous system to heal.
I can see that as a first step.
Right. If you don't put up the tactical walls, if you don't gray rock or execute an exit strategy when they hit 5 strikes, you are continually exposing an open wound to infection. You can't heal a severe burn while your hand is still resting on the hot stove.
No, you can't.
Recognizing the covert narcissist's calculating tactics, seeing the weaponized incompetence and the abusive gift-giving for what it is the absolute prerequisite. Once you see the matrix of their manipulation, their behavior becomes entirely predictable. And what is predictable is manageable.
We are definitely converging on the reality that covert narcissism creates a profoundly destructive dynamic, especially in the pressure cooker of high-stress holidays. The damage is undeniable.
Absolutely undeniable.
But I maintain that true empowerment doesn't come from becoming a master tactician against a dark psychologist. You shouldn't have to be a behavioral profiler to eat Thanksgiving dinner.
Laughs. Fair enough.
Empowerment comes from doing the deep, trauma-informed work of reclaiming one's reality. It's about looking at your own trauma bonds, understanding the biology of why your body reacts the way it does, and consciously unlearning the rules that the narcissistic family system assigned to you since childhood.
It seems we'll have to sit with that tension. Whether you view the covert narcissist as a predator to be tactically profiled and starved of supply, or you view the dynamic as a traumatic web requiring profound internal healing, the reality of the holiday remains the exact same.
It is chilling to examine both sides of this coin, to look simultaneously at the calculated predatory mask of the abuser and the chaotic, terrified, dysregulated internal reality of the victim trying to survive them.
There is much more to explore in the source material regarding strategies for boundary setting, surviving the inevitable seasonal discard, and reclaiming your peace.
The literature is dense with validation for those who feel like they're losing their minds in these family systems. There really is a way out of the fog.
It brings us right back to where we started. When you look across the room at the next holiday gathering and you see that quiet, sulking figure in the corner, intentionally pulling the energy out of the space, what is your next move? Do you play the game, or do you step off the board entirely?